People who clean up after festivals and similar events. What's the best and worst things you have found left behind? By Ask Reddit.
Not a cleaning person, but I saw a prosthetic leg left at the end of a metal festival.
I was at a metal festival once, and when we were drunk and high, we decided to go into the funfair bit on the way back from the last performance of the night. A friend of mine went down the helter-skelter, followed by a woman whose leg fell off when she got to the bottom. For a second we were trying to figure out if we actually saw what we had seen, but it was a prosthetic leg.
The ultimate stocking stuffer at Christmas.
I've cleaned up and found entire cooking sets and chairs.
Free kitchen.
I arrived with great expectations of a euphoric and carefree festival experience. I departed with a kitchen.
It's free meal estate.
I go to a lot of endurance car races. It's common for people to bring old furniture they don't want, or buy poo furniture off of Craigslist nearby and just leave it there. Back in the day it was fairly common for that furniture to end up on fire at some point, but I haven't seen that in a while.
I found a cooler and $135 in the lot after a fish show.
What was in the cooler?
It's ice.
That's where it went.
Worst is definitely a tie between the 5-liter water carrier filled with urine, or the lidded saucepan containing a single, fairly large, poo.
You kept the pan, right?
Damn right. Throwing away a barely used pan like that? What am I, a millionaire?
Could have washed the pan with that pee.
Was it non-stick though?
The pan or the poo?
You're asking the right questions.
Rinsed it out with the pee and it was all good to go.
I was working at a festival, although not doing cleanup, and stayed till the day after. The amount of tents people leave behind, brand new tents. Basically, people just buy new stuff for that festival and then can't be bothered to bring it home, dispose of it properly. I ended up with a brand new 10-person tent, thanks to some other people's laziness.
I helped out some hippie friends of mine running this little hippie festival called Chronophonium, about 500 people camping for 3 days. Lots of themes around sustainability, recycling and whatnot. Almost everyone left brand new tents in disheveled states all over the place. You can buy a cheap tent for next to nothing at the warehouse, New Zealand's Walmart. I reckon people are packing up to go on the last day hungover as F, and they just want to mentally write off everything and get home ASAP. These same people would have launched into monologues about wastefulness from big box stores and sustainable reuse at any other time. When you're hungover and coming down from a 3-day bender, principles go out the window.
Even worse. People who triumphantly declare something like, you know what? I'm just going to leave the tent here as a donation. Why not let someone else have it, right? Then feel all altruistic about themselves as they leave their garbage behind.
At Roskilde Festival there were containers for donating tents and sleeping bags. So you had to pack them, but not drag them with you to another country by train.
When I went to Roskilde, there was an American who lived in Denmark who brought a giant teepee for anyone who showed up without a tent. I still mentally thank him 22 years later.
Talking about Roskilde stories, shout out to the random Dutch girl who smoked like 100 joints and was super talkative. As someone who went alone, I appreciate the chat as we waited for Florence and the machine.
Unspeakable things happened in that tent.
Chakras were misaligned in that tent.
People often fly in from another city or country to attend music festivals. They buy their camping gear and leave it when they fly home.
You'd figure there'd be a tent rental place right at the festival. Just charge them the full amount or a hefty deposit. Then if they walk, you're covered, plus you can go retrieve the tent and rent it again. If it's too trashed, you still made money.
Canadian checking in. I've traveled to Germany twice for the Wacken Open Air Festival. I was traveling alone and I did not want to F around with transporting a whole bunch of camping gear to and from the festival. Wacken has a tent rental service that is great. They even place their section of tents very close to the entrance to the stages, so you would likely get a better camping spot by renting a tent rather than bringing one and hoping that you're there early enough to get something good.
On the festivals I've been to there have been that service. But the price of renting a tent on the festival is about twice as expensive as buying one, so it's not very attractive.
Tental rent a tent. Current tense, portents.
Past tense, present tense.
Porta tents?
Happy to see me tents.
Tent Prairie.
Intense.
For all intents and purposes.
Tenta Center.
There are companies that offer tents for rent. Depending on your schedule, money and/or laziness, they even build it up for you so you only have to move in.
I did a clean at a 3-day music festival once. Literally the first night I had to clean one of the portable shower cubicles, because someone had poo in the corner and stuck a cocktail umbrella in it. Edit, thanks for the awards. It goes without saying that I didn't take another festival job. Poo work. Also, nice chirpin'.
Disgusting that someone would do that, but the umbrella bit made me laugh.
That poo was probably the hottest holiday destination for flies all around the world.
A puna colada.
FUSHORSEY.
Fu Black Christos. Your mom came to my concert just to be my groupie. She bought my band's t-shirt just to leave it on my bedroom floor.
FUSHORSEY.
F you Hey Weaver. I've never kissed your mom, 'cause I think it's gross when girls do ass to mouth. Tell her to buy some breath mints. DKS aren't the only wriggly she needs to put in her mouth.
FU Beric 2501. Your mom's beef flaps are so long I wrap them round my DK and pretend I'm uncircumcised. Sometimes I drink a cup of tea and put on an English accent while I give her a jolly good show.
Give Yar balls a tug.
My dad used to be the guy in charge of renting out the Knights of Columbus Hall. Per policy, he had to be on site during the event, but would clean up after. The cleanup would usually be the next day, and I'd come along to help. The best thing we found was a $500 tip left behind by the father of the bride after a wedding reception with a little thank you note. The worst was finding the punch bowl the next day after someone had puked in it and put a lid over it. I'm pretty sure it had been spiked with something pretty strong before that, too.
I'm pretty sure it had been spiked with something pretty strong before that, too. How'd you figure that out? Taste test.
An overwhelming stench of alcohol mixed with the puke that made my nostrils feel like they were on fire.
Bottle of rum, lots and lots of DG, watches, phones, perfectly good clothes, welly boots, wallets, cash etc. Worst is poo tents. As in, abandoning your tent but doing a massive poo in it before you go so it can't be reused.
Poo tents is a regular occurrence? Like someone could be in the car getting on the highway and be like, oh, I forgot to poo tent.
Maybe they poo in a tent because the porta potties are often so very disgusting at many concerts.
Yeah, I'm imagining it's something like this, or simply for the convenience of not having to go find the porta potty and wait in line. Still pretty gross either way.
I just cut a hole and dig down a bit. Do the biz, and then cover. The tent is a nice screen. If you want to be fancy, get a 5-gallon bucket with big foam swimming noodles from Walmart and cut to size of the bucket rim, then make a slice long way to slide onto the rim. Now you have cushion while you poo and it's a quick clean. Fit for a king.
This is simultaneously the worst and best thing I've read today. Thanks.
Throw in some kitty litter and you got a reusable toilet.
A heavily used dildo, stuck tip up on a tent stake.
Did dildos have built-in odometers?
You count the rings.
Careful. Now that Google bought Fitbit, they're putting activity trackers in everything. Edit, from Fitbit app, you've almost met your daily goal. Just 87 strokes to go.
Heavily used.
Ooh yeah, it was dirty, covered in residue, and foul.
After fish shows there's a group of volunteers that clean up the lot. It's called Green Crew. The first time I did it I wasn't fully aware what the point was. We got gloves and a trash bag, then spread out on one side of the lot and walked across it picking poo up. When we got to the other side, everyone was way faster than me getting to the other side. We were told to consolidate bags. I go to pour mine into the guy next to me. He goes, ooh dude, we only pick up returnable and recyclable stuff. As I poured trash and glow sticks and like food and poo into his bag of recyclables.
I did Green Crew at Gathering of the Vibes for a few years. I guess I was naive like you, since I would pick us cigarette butts and other pieces of regular trash.
I worked for a summer driving the buses and cleaning them for a summerfest. Never found much left on the buses except a lot of vomit. Except this one time we were walking through the lot tallying how many buses had a certain type of radio for the company, and I found a money pouch left on the bus by one of the girls whose job it was to collect payments from those riding the buses to the fairgrounds. In those days I was a poor college student and I choked when I saw there was around $2,000 in there, but I was also a good girl and turned it in. Apparently they had been set to fire her and sue her for the stolen cash, so I saved her from a criminal record, but of course she still lost her job for being careless. I never did get even a thank you from the company.
You did the right thing, so I will say thank you.
Did it once, as a fundraiser for a youth organization, and collectively we found £3,000 and 10 mobile phones, and this was during the days when it was a somewhat luxury to have a phone. Clarification edit, I didn't personally find and keep all of the above, this is what was found by the group of us, which was around 40 teenagers. I found £35 and no phones.
Lucky.
Indeed. I was in my early teens, so the money I personally found seemed like a small fortune.
I'm 25, and that still seems like a small fortune.
I'm 47, and can you spare a tenner?
I cleaned up for an event once, and it was an event where you weren't allowed to bring your own alcohol in, so they can get you to buy it from the event itself and whatnot, so cops were taking people's alcohol. Cool, that's fine. I was cleaning up and 2 cops walked over and asked if I was 18. I showed them my license to prove I was, and they gave me almost $1,000 of untouched alcohol that they'd confiscated from people trying to sneak it in. Bottles of vodka and tequila, a lot of beer and rum, and a bunch of ciders, all given to me cause I was a volunteer and not getting paid otherwise. Was effing great edit. For everyone asking, this was in Australia LMFAO.
Tough look, you're 18 or older? Question mark. Glup. Yes. Wanna some booze?
Wanna some booze? Was the cop Jar Jar Binks?
You saw mean. We saw gonna get lit, ANI?
Phew. I really thought this was going to go in a different direction. First, that you had collected some half-full bottles and you were underage so they arrested you, or second, that you were of age and ticketed you for having open bottles in a public place or something. I feel so much better.
I'm an usher at my neighborhood movie theater, so IDK if this counts, but I found a plastic bag under a seat with 6 guppies swimming around inside, so I kept the guppies for myself, lol. I had to Google how to take care of fish, but it was fun and I still have them today.
You are a good person. A lot of people don't care for fish because they are cheap and are looked as disposable, but they are still living sentient beings.
As someone who recently got into the aquarium hobby, I didn't realize how poorly taken care of most fish are. Even as someone who does their due diligence and research beforehand, I've still lost fish, and it's made realize just how fragile they are.
My kids wanted a pet, and so we settled on a fish. I asked the fish store guy a buttload of questions, made sure to GRT all I needed. Good 10-gallon tank for 3 fish, heater, filter, all of it. Kids got bored in a few days. Me, I love those fish. If my wife wasn't annoyed by the noise, I'd have them in my bedroom. Or in my office. As you say, living creatures. Always try to make sure they are taken care of.
Not a rave, but, when I lived at a party house in my early 20s, I once cleaned up after a big night and found a cigarette with lipstick on the end you typically light. The lipstick wearer had smoked it backwards and inhaled nearly the entire filter.
The filter is where they hide all the heroin, it's the best bit.
No cure for cancer.
Thank you for watching. We upload new videos every day, so be sure to come back for more fun. Please consider liking and subscribing if you enjoyed the video.